right, we're back with the Opie and Anthony program on this fine Whip 'em Out Wednesday. We still need a caller to describe WoW to everybody out there. We'll do that in a little while, but first we got to say hi to Harry Shearer, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
And Harry.
One of many things Mr. Shearer has done with his fine career.
That's him.
Hey, Harry, how are you, buddy?
Guys, how are you?
Good, what's
Welcome
up?
to the Opie and Anthony program.
Thank you, my pleasure.
I always thought it would be a little odd to do radio with you because you parody it so well in various forms.
What do you mean? What do you mean, baby?
I've seen certain things on The Simpsons and where it's always the wacky radio guys.
Oh, yeah, we do. I forget about Bill and Marty. We don't do them very often.
Bill and Marty.
Bill and Marty. Yeah.
And it's always the most hack radio
It is.
ever.
We actually
but
try
so
to-
accurate.
We actually try to talk with our own voices. We
that's-
we try not to hack it up.
That's where you blaze a new trail. I don't think I think Bill and Marty are kind of from the past. I mean, I don't. As you go around the country, there's a lot that's wrong with radio.
But there's still a few of them out there.
Are they?
They're still doing it,
But
Harry.
you don't hear a lot of guys talking with that part of them.
Yes,
The Boss Jacks.
The Boss Jacks of the old days.
The one thing that really gets me, though, is it's always a light-haired guy and a dark-haired, curly-haired guy with a goatee. And I'm like, fuck, man, maybe we ought to shave or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna dye my hair pink or something.
Just do something to
Just
make
mess
it not
up
look
the
like
stereotypes
the
of
stereotypical radio guys.
Yeah, we mess with the radio voices all the time,
Yeah,
and all the hacky bits that radio guys do.
Oh man, and I grew up with a generation of them, and they at like the station that was competing with KHJ in Los Angeles, always second, always not as good, KRLA. And the first time I went in there and saw that these guys, the saddest thing I saw was these guys weren't even listening to their own show on the air. They were listening to the competition. It was so like, what's KHJ playing today?
Oh, okay, yeah.
What are they saying? What are they saying in their 15 seconds where they can get to talk, you know?
Radio guys in general are
God.
very paranoid.
Yeah, so pathetic.
It is a weird business. You did radio?
Oh, I was with this group called the Credibility Gap, David Lander and Michael McKeon, and we would come in every 3 hours and do these comedy newscasts and get so many more listeners and so much more mail than the jocks that were doing the music shows.
So the jocks must have loved that.
Loved that. Loved that. But so we were doing these 10-minute comedy shows and pre-taping them just before they go on the air, throwing the tapes down from the production studio to the air studio. And very exciting and having a lot of fun and getting very high. And and these jocks were just like, machine-tooled automatons, They could read their little cards and keep their little clock going. And, man, it was so fucking lame. And
sad. The liner cards.
Don't
forget to promote 2 for Tuesday.
Exactly.
Oh, great.
And but listening, they did. And I said to him one day, hey, man, if you're not even listening to your own show, why do you expect anybody else to?
Oh, no. Sure, they loved hearing that,
yeah,
too.
Yeah. We didn't last long there.
Well, got to ask you about what one of your most popular roles, Derek Smalls.
Yes.
Yeah. And you probably get asked this all the time, but I have to ask you, did you ever think, filming that one, that it was going to be, what is it now, 60 years later, that people are
72,000 years later.
People are still fascinated with the movie.
I know, it's
and
amazing.
Musicians just take it on as their own. It's like a documentary for every band out there.
It's amazing, and not just rock bands. I have jazz guys and bluegrass guys and country guys and classical players who say, "Man, we travel, we take that."
It's the same dynamic.
It is.
You're dealing with a bunch of artistic people, or some people that think they're artistic.
Quasi-artistic.
And you have to work together.
Yeah.
And the conflicts that you're in, it hit it so on the head that I was amazed that it wasn't an actual documentary.
Well, some people who saw it originally before there was any promotion or understanding would come up and say, why didn't they make that movie about a good band?
Right.
Thinking that it was a real documentary. No, the answer to did you ever think is no, not in a million years. And to show you how much we didn't think, it was just such a miracle to get the movie made, and B, to get it released. Mm-hmm. The company was run by Jerry Perenchio. Have you ever heard of him? Former fight promoter, for starters, who went into partnership with Norman Lear for like a minute and a half to run a soon-to-be bankrupt movie company, which was the one that made our film. and Norman left to pursue browner pastures, and Jerry, we're left in the hands of Jerry, who didn't want to make the movie in the first place, and said, if the first two critics who see this movie don't like it, it ain't getting out.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, that's how close it came to never being seen. So we really, and he runs Univision now, the Mexican TV channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
There you go.
he's a piece of work. You know,
There you go.
just to have a company where all your employees speak a language you don't understand, which I guess is
that could
true.
be a good thing.
That's every company in radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Where did the information come from? Because what's in that movie is information that you only get from being in a touring rock band.
Yeah.
No matter if it's a small scale or a large scale, because we've all done band things, and I was in a band for many years before I did radio.
What'd you play?
I was a singer, and my brother was a guitarist, and there was always. I remember being in the studio and hearing things like, you can't play the fucking guitar, you can't play like the arguments, and then there was the other guys that didn't have as much power going, oh shit, this is all we fucking need.
That's right.
And the dynamic between the guy that has the power in the band, and there's usually two guys at loggerheads all the time, and then the other guy's the guy that kind of sit back and take the shit. You only get that by being in a band. So who was the one that had that experience?
Well, Michael McKean had been in a band called The Left Bank. They had done a hit called Walk Away Renee. And Pretty Ballerina was their follow-up that was a semi-hit. And he joined the band right after they'd had their hits.
Oh, fantastic. Great timing.
Whoops. Yeah. And he and Chris had been in a band together as well, but that didn't arise to that level of prominence. And then, Michael and I had been in a comedy group that toured. So we had some of the same experiences, except without having to lug musical instruments along. And then we had, I was friends with the manager of the Grateful Dead, so
there you go.
I spent a lot of time around that band. And then our original keyboard player, we had hired this brilliant guy named, I'm going to blow his name, so I won't say it, had to leave because we couldn't get the movie made. And he said, guys, I got to take a gig. So he goes on the road with Uriah Heep. And comes back and tells us some stories.
A few stories.
Yeah, and so the whole thing was the what we wanted to do. We didn't want to make a movie about Spinal Tap. We started out wanting to make a movie that just got rock and roll right. Because we'd gotten so pissed off at seeing all these movies that kept bullshitting about rock and roll. And, right down to showing people playing guitar who were doing impossible things that you weren't hearing. That was like, oh, come on. Doesn't anybody know what it looks like when you play a guitar? We just thought, fuck, man, can't they get this right? So, that was our kind of, it wasn't something that we said as a motto or that we took an oath every morning like Japanese auto workers. It was just something that we had in our minds, and so we never made anything up. We just took stuff that we knew and the stuff that that people told us from that world and wove it together.
Just nailed it. Did you ever hear the Eddie Van Halen rumor about when Van Halen sat down and watched it?
No.
I heard this when the movie was released, that Van Halen sat down and watched it, and everyone's laughing, and Eddie at one point turned around and said, "This isn't fucking funny," which says it all. Man.
Well, a lot of guys have said that to us. I couldn't watch that fucking movie, man. It was too close to my life.
To this day, it's a great watch.
Yeah, it still holds up.
It definitely holds up.
And I met somebody, not Rob Halford, but somebody from Judas Priest. We were doing the tail end of all the rock bands doing or music artists doing charity all-star gigs was a thing called Here in Aid, done by heavy metal bands.
Oh, right.
I remember that.
Yes, Here in Aid.
Here in Aid. And they invited us, Michael and me, to the session. And so these guys were just, and we thought, they're going to be pissed at us because we made fun of them and made them look like idiots. And they're just so thrilled. And
you were rock stars to the
rock stars.
We
were rock stars to the rock stars. And one guy in Priest comes up and says, "Oh man, it was such a great movie. It's like our lives. I mean, last night we were in San Diego. I couldn't find my way to the fucking stage."
Now, from an incredible high like that, and then I noticed, I remember, and just because of reading, you were part of the SNL cast during the not too popular years.
Which ones were those?
I wanted to ask you that.
No, I was there for the last year of the original cast. And then I came back with Bill.
As a writer?
No,
or?
as a cast member who almost never got on the air.
You must have. Yeah, I was just going to say you must have really been a lot of characters.
Don't ask.
The last year of the original cast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was Dan. Dan and John had left, so it was Gilda, Bill, Lorraine, Jane, Garrett, and me.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were
some parties, huh?
Did you? Yeah.
No kidding.
But weren't you then also with the transitional cast?
No.
You weren't with that.
No, I left.
Kick me in the ass.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Well, no shit. I thought you were in there with
Gilbert
like
Gottfried,
Billy Crystal years or something.
I was there 1 year.
Wait.
Mr.
Shearer.
Wait. That was 5 years later. It was Christopher Guest, Martin Short.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I went. There was also Jim Belushi and Billy Crystal. Yes.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my problem.
Okay.
Well, it was my problem. It wasn't my doing.
All right. It must have been rough though after Belushi and Aykroyd left to try to keep that.
Listen,
that's tough to follow.
Drugs.
That place is,
It is what it is.
Marty Short used to say, I walk in this building and I don't feel funny.
Really?
Yeah, it's just so.
God, we hear that from so many of the guys. That
I know
used
a
to
lot
work
of the
there.
cast members.
Yeah.
Really have a hard time.
And it's
bringing it up.
Here's a clue. It's not the architecture.
Okay. Right. Couple of issues with a few of the people. Do you have any good times there?
My good time.
No.
Well, I mean, doing synchronized swimming was fun.
One of the classic bits
Thanks.
of SNL.
That was fun. Getting to know Marty because I'd known him through Paul Schaefer, who was a friend of mine, but I'd never worked with him before. And he's one of the good people in comedy.
How do we get to call him Marty?
Yeah,
we can only call him Martin.
Martin?
Yeah.
I always thought it was odd like that. And
on Johnny Carson.
It goes
we
back
talked
to
about
Carson, years ago, and it's like, hey, and Chuck Heston.
Yeah.
I was
Good old
talking
Chuck.
to Chuck Heston. It's like, that's Charlton.
That's Charlton.
Chuck. Who's Chuck Heston?
Chuck
We don't
Heston.
have the privilege of calling him Chuck.
I have no stars that I can call by their common name.
Yeah, we can't call him
Except
Marty.
Jimmy. Jimmy
Yeah.
actually,
big star
Robert
right
Robert De Niro was passing by, and he wanted a picture, and he put his hand on Robert De Niro's arm and went, Bob, and
called him
got
Bob.
turned down so quickly. This little creep.
I don't
touching.
think it was the Bob. I think it was the Breathe Right strip.
Yeah, it could have been.
I didn't have that on.
He asked me to take a picture with him. I say, you want to wear the strip or not? And he said, oh yeah, I want to wear the strip.
It's amazing what they do with Photoshop. They'll just take it out. I don't know.
I have to because I had the rest of the show to do. If I was leaving, I would definitely take it off. But
How many pictures do you have now with celebrities and your Breathe Right?
I only do that here, and I'm obviously a couple. I wouldn't have thought of it if Harry didn't say it. So probably a couple that I'm not even aware
You're
of.
going for an endorsement.
Yeah, we're not aware
deal.
of the breed.
Yeah.
Right
He is.
anymore.
He's going for an endorsement
He's
deal.
in every day with that. So.
Yeah, I always wear. I have to. I have bad nose.
How long you been with the Simpsons now?
Since they started.
You were there right from the start.
17 years.
Yeah.
I
yes.
think that, you guys are up to 17 years. I think?
We're starting season 18 right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How'd you hook up with that? That seems like
Matt Groening was a fan of my radio show. I was a fan of this thing that he did, which was not the comic strip. He did this wonderful column for one of the local alternative weeklies in the 80s, which was called Record Mix. And the idea was that Matt was supposed to review records, but he didn't want to review records. So he wrote this really funny column every week about what he did instead of reviewing records.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's like you
Good
could only do that.
concept.
Yeah, but he's a funny writer.
When
And-
did you realize that it wasn't going to be just another audition and it was gold?
Well,
Because guys like you're going on a million things, and some work, some don't.
Well,
and
yeah,
this
but
thing was just. When did you know?
I guess it's kind of caught on beginning of we did a short first season that started in January, and I mean, look, the Fox network was a freaking joke back then.
yeah.
Not to say that it's not a freaking joke now, but it's a big freaking joke. Back then, it was just a tiny little piece of crap,
Right.
and nobody thought that was going to be around. I mean, they had every affiliate they had was a channel 50 or up.
yeah.
those
And they
days?
gave a lot of I guess they didn't have much of a choice, but they gave a lot of time to new shows.
Yeah, they
back then.
didn't have a choice.
Yeah, because they had no show to replace
Yeah,
them.
I mean, if you look at the schedule that we were on with, The New Adventures of Beans Baxter, George C. Scott as Mr. President. I mean, the shows that they had on that schedule with us were just like, come on, it's a joke schedule. So I think about the beginning of season 2, we started to take off because there was so much criticism of us. There were all these fundamentalists going, "This is a bad role model, and the kid shouldn't watch the show." And of course,
because no one was doing that type of TV before The Simpsons.
That's
now you got a lot of the adult cartoons that are hitting. You know?
You got South Park, which is far
Family Guy
beyond us. Yeah.
When did the focus switch from like Bart to Homer? It seemed like Bart was intended to be the star of the show, and then it became Homer.
That's a good question from a guy with a freeze-right script.
But if I didn't have this, you wouldn't have understood the question. I would have been sniffling.
When do you think it was Bart?
Do you think that?
I don't know. I think it was a very subtle thing. I mean, look, we're not. I'll tell you how deeply involved we are in the show. The cast is involved in the show. I started doing interviews this week here in New York to promote my CD and DVD, and somebody asked me, "Hey, you guys just got signed up for season 18 and 19," and I said, "Really?"
Oh, really?
Yeah, they put it out to Reuters before telling us.
Yeah.
So, whatever decisions were being made about whether it was Bart or Homer was not revealed. We didn't get the memo. Let's put it that way.
You do that from home, or is it like the
No.
easiest gig ever?
No. No, we have
At
to
least
go
drive
in.
into a studio.
Yeah.
Because believe me, I hear from
nowadays you
some
don't have
voice
to.
people where
Oh,
it's
sure.
like, I have my the
ISDN.
Yeah,
I have
ISDN.
one of those for doing other
I go
stuff.
into my den and
Yeah. The guy who you hear in every city going, Channel 2 News at 5, does that in his pajamas from his den.
Yeah.
You know that. Today on Channel 2 News at 5, what you need to know before you go shopping for frozen food. That guy is in his pajamas. You know that.
Coyote in Central Park. What could it mean for your children? Nothing.
Some coyote food today. It's weird. It's a great job. We do go into the studio and do it together most of the time. But it's
there's a genuine interaction between
Yes.
the characters.
Yes.
Maybe that's why it works out
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah. So you got the DVD and the CD.
Oh my God! Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're releasing two things at once.
I know.
Are you crazy?
Am I nuts? Well, what I wanted to do was release them as a package, and I found out that the record business has no package, no way of packaging something that is a separate DVD and CD.
You brought it up at a meeting, and they just started pounding the table. They had no comprehension of.
No, I mean this is our company, so I just called the manufacturer and I said, "What do you?" It's not a DVD of us playing the music that's on the CD. It's not like that. It's not a CD. It's not an enhanced CD ROM or something like that. It's a real CD, comedy CD, that's completely different material from what's on the DVD. And they said, well, we don't have any packaging for that.
We don't know how to do that.
We don't know how to do that. So I had to release them as two separate items. But
You couldn't package it just as a double DVD to save yourself money on the packing?
They don't know how to do that.
No,
They can
told
put
you.
double
He doesn't
CDs
know.
in there.
yeah, but then how do you say on the package?
Right.
Yeah. How do you wrap
This
it?
is a
put a
whole
sticker.
other. A sticker that says, no, this is a whole other CD. It's not like a CD of the stuff that's on the DVD.
People
go.
won't know what they have.
That's right.
Why not release this and then 6 months later release this?
Wow.
I hate you.
You're boggling
I
his
hate
mind
you, man.
here.
No, look, the CD I wanted out soon because it's about all the people from all the anchors from the TV news operations that have gone away in the last year and a half.
That's what I was reading that, and one thing close to my heart because I have done that character on this program is the Tom Brokaw, and that L. He just has a problem with it, and I can't get enough of watching him on television.
A Lockheed L-1011 jetliner crash landed over Bogalusa, Louisiana today.
There it is.
Killing all 111 people on board. I have to
One
say,
of my favorites was, and Leon Klinghoffer pushed from the deck of the Achille Laurel
by Palestinian hijackers. The Italian cruise liner Achille Laurel. Leave us not forget. Here's the weird thing. They can't say they didn't know because he was anchoring local news on Channel 4 in Los Angeles.
God damn.
And his co-anchor was Kelly Lang. Kelly Lang. He had to say fucking Kelly Lang, and I will be back at 11. Every day. What were they thinking? No, let's bring him to the White House. I like the cut of his jib.
Yeah, one of the most successful news anchors ever with a
You would think they would have just changed her name.
No, but I mean,
Why
the
not?
job-
People change their name all the,
The job
time.
entails L's.
The job
You
is-
have to say L.
all he has to do is pronounce 26 letters in the alphabet, and he's 25 26th of the way there. You know, it's not a complicated
Do you
job.
think he went to a speech pathologist
with
behind the scenes just trying to figure out that L?
If he did, it only made him worse.
It did get worse as
it
the
got
years went on.
way worse, man. If he went to a speech pathologist, he said to him, "Here's the trick: just have a mouthful of oatmeal when you go in there. They won't notice the L's."
Well, it worked out for him.
Yeah, it did. So it's all those folks. It's Dan, Tom, Barbara Walters, Ted Koppel, who gets the first cut on the CD is Mickey Mouse cuts him a new one in a meeting, and then he later on shows up in the show he would have done it. He stayed with ABC, which is sort of they smush his format together with Dave Letterman, so he's got Paul Schaefer as his band leader, and he gets to do interviews with like Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski, but Brzezinski keeps getting dumped in a tub of oatmeal during the interview because it's stupid professor tricks. So
it's called Harry Shearer Dropping Anchors.
Yeah,
I see a cut on here. If JFK had lived,
that's a Tom Brokaw Investidrama.
Drama.
An NBC News Investidrama.
I love the sarcasm with the news, man. We touch on it all the time here. We do a segment just where we play news teasers, and the fear mongering that they try to, and they can't let you know in the teaser what the problem is.
Of course not.
They gotta, because it's all about roping you in to watch the news broadcast. So it's like your children are playing with a toy right now that could kill them. We'll tell you at 11. What?
Tell me now.
Yeah. Can your car kill you? I gotta go to the store. I gotta leave now.
We got the best news tease ever. Listen to this really fast. That's quick.
One city wants to pack all their sex offenders into a 3-block area. Problem is, it could be right next to your house.
What?
Get out of here.
Oh.
Now I got what?
But wait, my kids are walking to school.
Exactly.
Now, if you really think about it, that cannot happen.
Yeah.
What politician? All sex offenders in my area here.
I'll take them.
I'll take them. I'll bring them in.
We know what to do with them in the 6th Ward.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Get away with that.
The other one I hate is, here's what we're working on for tomorrow. Well, if you know what it's going to be tomorrow, tell me fucking today.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Don't work on it. Tell me.
It seems to be done and ready to go.
I love it. It really is it's entertainment. It's about rating. It's no longer the
We can't get enough of it.
I used to.
We
when
mock
I
it
grew
all
up,
the time on this program.
When I grew up, it was and because they didn't have all the graphics and fancy equipment they have now, but it was a desk and a clock.
Yep.
And the guy telling you what the hell was going on, period.
Yeah.
Now it's got to be, the attention span of a gnat. Everything's got to be flashy, and you got to throw graphics at everybody.
Well, of course, that's why they had to get rid of Aaron Brown, because he just moved too slowly in the modern age.
People don't want to hear that. They
people
don't
want to see tomorrow's papers tonight. No. They want to see tomorrow's promos tonight.
You ever read the ticker so long that you get up and spin around and hit the floor? I've gotten up and thought I had a tumor because I'd be reading the ticker, and then you get up and everything in your room starts going the opposite way that the ticker went.
You know what you have to do? Watch Al Jazeera to get yourself
to get it going the other way.
That's right.
I was doing a headstand a half hour before I stopped watching the ticker just so it would go the other way.
Here's the weird thing that I only realized when I talked to one of these people. Like I met one in Atlanta or something. Those are jobs.
Yeah.
What's your job? I write the ticker at the bottom of the CNN thing, and they spend 8 hours sitting and typing that.
Just typing away?
Yeah. That's a job now.
That's a job.
Thanks to 9/11.
Yeah.
There wasn't a ticker before 9/11.
Wasn't. That now it's needed.
Yeah.
It's not just. Also the Fox News alert. Make a lot of fun of that. When it first started. When I hear that in the background,
this is a Fox News alert.
I trip over my own ass to try to see what was happening.
Get to a TV.
Because last time I heard it, buildings were falling down.
Yeah.
So perhaps it's important. And now it's traffic on the FDR. Well, yeah. I know. It's there every day.
Yeah.
It's all about fear-mongering, panicking. They made a sound that now scares you. You're like Pavlov's dog.
That's right.
Getting petrified at sounders.
That's right. And then, when they actually start telling you stuff, this generation we thought couldn't get sillier than these pompous assholes who were, pretending that they knew stuff that they didn't. They just sat and read prompters, and if they weren't reading prompters, they'd put on a safari jacket, fly 10,000 miles, ask the crew, "What's the mood here?" and then do a special. We thought it couldn't get worse than that, and now there's this Anderson Cooper, who doesn't know shit but just feels the news better than you do. You know?
And he looks the part.
Yeah.
He's prematurely gray.
Yeah.
The women love him.
The women love him.
Well,
and
they
he's
wore
just
his mama's.
gotta go
They wore
somewhere.
his mama's jeans.
Yeah,
Anderson, I wore your mama's jeans.
that's right.
And he'll just go to the location of the hurricane and talk to some locals.
But
and-
it's just about feelings. It's like he's the male Oprah, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just. Ugh.
Well, it's all about hurricanes and shark attacks now, too.
Well, the shark attacks.
We
summer
have a
coming
lot
up.
of fun with
Can't
the
wait.
shark attacks, and the hurricane coverage is just out of control.
And the bird flu.
And the
very
bird flu.
scared,
Right.
very petrified. Do you know almost 100 people worldwide have died of the bird
I
flu?
know.
It's a pandemic.
Listen, if I were a chicken, I'd be very scared right now.
Right, be petrified.
Yeah, I'd
There's
be
probably
very afraid.
chicken news that has them running around the hen house just scared shitless.
Well, the CD looks good. It's called Dropping Anchors. So that's one project.
That's one project.
That is completely different than the DVD.
That's correct.
Now
We don't
move
wanna
on to the newer, different
We
project.
don't want to confuse the listeners. This should have came out 6 months from now, but he has decided.
I oughta.
If you release a CD and a DVD, you do know that if you release one, normally DVD should come first, and then if you release a CD after, like within like 5 or 6 months after it, it probably sells 60 to 70% better.
Hey, it'll be there in the stores. I'm not going to take marketing advice from a guy with a strip on his fucking nose.
Although he's marketing a strip very well.
It's going to say Nike across that or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
soon. With product placement with Jimmy Norton. The DVD's called Now You See It. What's this about, Harry?
That's all my stuff from. It's not all my stuff, but it's the stuff I like best from SNL and my HBO specials, and a couple things that have never been seen before because there were some assholes at NBC.
Great.
Yeah.
Harry.
Oh, some of the what? Some of the bits that never made air or something?
Yeah, one in particular. I did a show, really stupid fucking show that was Brandon Tartikoff, the great dead genius of NBC.
Right, yes.
Not that smart. Punky Brewster, ladies and gentlemen. Super Train, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, Super Train.
Super
We all remember
Train,
that.
yeah.
It's like the Love Boat on rails.
On rails.
How can it lose?
How can it lose?
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Dude, Super Train. It was a super train.
How
with-
can you not
with
get the concept?
a guest
It was a
stars
super train.
I know, I
from
understand what it
series
is,
of the
but-
time joining in and falling in love and having problems with their families and
And
the
then they get
setting
off.
of a train.
Where were they going on the train?
Nowhere.
Nowhere, just like the show.
Like the show. So this genius comes up with a, hey, we're losing every Sunday night at 7 to 60 minutes. We can't counter program 60 minutes. Nobody will watch anything we put on. So let's really put on nothing. He came up with a show called Sunday Best, which was let's take good stuff that's been on during the week and repackage it and have Carl Reiner host it. And then somebody said, Brandon, the affiliates won't carry that. You have to have something original. So he hired Merrill, Marco, and me to do original pieces for the show, intermixed with all this crap. And then I can't even remember the guy's name. The guy who runs the WB network now.
Ben Sparks?
No,
Ben
it's
Sparks.
Ben Sparks.
It's not Ben Sparks. He doesn't run anything in television.
Sure, you're right guy.
But good with a name. Anyway, he runs the show, and I do this piece, which I really liked, which was somehow Richard Nixon finds himself in the middle of an infomercial for a magical product that cleans your teeth and takes stains off your clothing. And it's the best Nixon I ever did. The makeup is amazing, and the guy just refuses to run it. And the show dies anyway, but... So I had that piece, and I thought, I want people to see that. So that's on there, too.
Very cool, yeah.
But it's synchronized swimming, and Mike Wallace with Mickman Novelties, and my David Copperfield meets...
Wait, that was you as Mike Wallace?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did
fuck,
the Mike
man.
Wallace.
They show that the comedy club, the Stress Factory in Jersey, before the show. A lot of times they'll show old SNL clips. They show the synchronized swimming, and that Mike Wallace is with the whoopee cushions, right?
Yeah.
That is
It's
a funny
really good.
fucking bit, man. I had
Thank
no idea
you.
that was you.
Yeah.
God damn, that's good.
Thank you. Yeah. That's the idea. Is like a lot of stuff I've done, people didn't know it was me
Didn't
because I
know.
look different. So
You know, I was in Vegas recently, and I
sorry.
decided to go old school and go see David Copperfield.
yeah.
The first 20 minutes of the show was clips about him
Yeah.
from every TV show that mentioned him.
So you're saying he made your money disappear?
Oh my! It was. I have to say, it was god awful. But the first 20 minutes was just a montage of every show saying, "What are you, David Copperfield?"
No.
Over and over, and then all his press clippings.
But
he
didn't-
makes the money disappear, but without that byproduct of entertaining.
That's
you.
correct. That's
You
the
know?
magic.
Yeah, that's the magic.
Yeah.
Anyone can make your money disappear, but then you get some
Something
entertainment back.
Did
Nothing.
he didn't have anything of me doing him, right?
Absolutely did. did.
He did?
Yes, that's what I'm
wow.
saying.
He had me?
Whoever mentioned...
I'm suing his fucking ass off.
Whoever mentioned David Copperfield, it was everything from Friends to, I believe, The Simpsons to every show.
Oh,
it
my
was
God.
just one after another just saying, what are you, David Copperfield? David Copperfield, blah, blah, blah. Just feeding his own ego.
Super montage.
I was so disappointed. The year before, I saw Cirque du Soleil, and I went from that to David Copperfield this year.
Hey, you want
what are you doing?
You want to do something good for yourself next time you go to Vegas? See Rickles. He's still great.
I love Don Rickles.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. One of my faves.
I
of
saw
all
the
time.
last 2 minutes of him. I was working with a guy, Jim Florentine and Dice. We were doing a late nasty show at the Stardust, and it was Rickles and Harvey Korman were on the early show.
Oh.
But we couldn't. No, I'm sorry. It was Tim Conway and Harvey Korman. Rickles was there another time on the early show. I saw like the last 5 minutes.
So this really has nothing to do with what we were talking
No,
about.
but I said Rickles.
You turned it into Rickles, and then Rickles wasn't even in the picture. How did you do that?
I'll tell you how.
That's the magic.
I had two different
Wait, Rickles
fantastic stories. Because I just understand. I was involved in an animal attack last night.
Well, not coyote.
Jimmy had a run for his life from a coyote last night, so he's not
That's
completely
it
with
was
us
like,
today.
Yeah, it was like I was children. Like I was.
It's a little
wrestling.
distracted.
Maybe you should have brought in the coyote to tell the story.
No, I had one incident with Rickles. And then
Did he
one
have a
with-
helicopter backpack and was trying to drop some type of weight on your head?
Well, I guess nobody wants to hear the story, but it's a gem and it's everyone's loss.
Oh, man. He's put us in our place,
I
hasn't
think we'll make it.
Yeah.
We'll pull through anyway.
But Rickles, I saw him a year ago. John Landis, who's friends with Rickles, said, you gotta come see Don Rickles in Vegas. You gotta come see. And I thought, yeah, I've done another yak, but he's just
still
amazing.
doing it, huh?
He's fucking amazing, and he's like
God
prowling
damn.
the stage like a jaguar. You know,
He's
just-
the best at that sarcastic.
Oh, my God.
humor.
How many
Amazing.
years? Jesus Christ.
Oh God! Well, he
Forever.
started, in the 50s
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you did.
Yeah, way back in the 50s. I remember.
Hey,
Spinning the hot wax, as they
yeah.
called it back then.
But you see him on stage, and you just can. I was in Vegas a couple years ago, saw him and saw Keely Smith and Sam Butera, and you just think, oh fuck, Sinatra's going to be standing at the door watching this, before you know it. But no,
no, he's still dead.
and and instead there was
Nothing worse than when you're waiting for the dead guy to walk in on the show and he's like,
That's right.
fuck.
And it never
That's
happened.
right.
Show's over. He's not here.
All right.
But now you read. I read the story in Vegas. They have to. A lot of the acts now have to pay to play showrooms. They have to
Wow.
rent the showroom, hire the musicians,
Make their own money from ticket sales?
Yeah, and do their own promotion.
That's like what happened with shit bands, like
On the
around
Sunset
Long
Strip,
Island.
yeah.
You used to have to sell your own tickets.
yeah. Now they're
to
doing
your
it.
friends.
Now they're doing it on the Strip in Vegas.
Wonderful.
Goulet was at the Venetian Room and couldn't make it because he was like, that's what he was doing there.
Oh,
wow.
God.
And not the Venetian Room, the Venetian Hotel. And it's like, the Venetian? Are you kidding me? They have to have a guy paid to play in the showroom at the Venetian?
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Harry, they're telling us you have to go.
Uh-oh.
They're telling us you
And
have to go.
I wanted to hear Jimmy's story. But,
We all
It's
did.
just fun. There's a lot of laughs in it and a few tears, but
There you
next
go.
time.
well, we've had the tears.
Don't
All
tear
right, let's
up
get
your
the
breathe right will
let's
come
get the
off.
plugs out. The DVD is out. It's called Now You See It, and there's a CD out which is completely different from the DVD called Harry Shearer Dropping Anchors. Right?
Yep.
And anything else you want to promote today? Simpsons and all that fun
Oh,
stuff.
everybody.
It
Simpsons
continues to
Simpsons
roll.
come
They're
out
going to
themselves.
watch it.
Yeah, they're
I
going to
know,
watch it.
exactly.
I want a signed DVD. That Mike Wallace bit is fucking hilarious. I had no
Thank
idea
you.
that was you. That really is funny.
Well, thank you, Jimmy.
Harry,
I appreciate that. We'll
thank
look
you.
into that for you.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you, Harry.
guys. Pleasure.
We'll continue with the Opie and Anthony show in just a bit. Get us out.